Percents that are greater than 100% or less than 1% is what we're going to take a look at today. And so the first part is we are going to go percent as decimal and fraction. So you're going to have to write each one of them in both a decimal and as a fraction in simplest form. So remember, percent to decimal, I move my decimal point 2 places to the left, which is the same as dividing by 100. So I end up with 0 and 25 thousandths. So I need to read it correctly to write my fraction as 25 over 10,000. And then I need to reduce. And so I know I'm going to divide by 25, which then gives me 1 over 400. And so this is my final answer as well as this. Going on to the next one, I'm given 900%. So if I move my decimal point 2 places, 1, 2, I get 9. And I mean, if you wanted to put 0.0, you could. And then, my fraction is just 9. So even though it says you need to write a fraction, you may not have to because there might not actually be a fraction of a part there, or a fraction of a whole. So my last one, 245%, moving that 2 places. So I have 2 and 45 hundredths. And so because I said it like that, I'm going to write it immediately as a fraction and then simplify. So I'm going to divide by 5 to get 9/20ths, and then that 2 is coming with. And that would be my final answer for those 3. So I know you had worked a little bit on some past assignments. I just threw some of those on where you had percents that were greater than 100, but this would probably be the first time you're working with a percent that's less than 1. So I give you the mixed number. You need to write that as a decimal and as a percent. So 2 and 9/10ths is how we have to read that. I'm going to first put it as a decimal. So I'm just going to say 2 and 9/10ths. Then remember to go from decimal to percent. I move my decimal 2 places to the right, which is like multiplying by 100. So I would do 2 places to get 290%. 3 and 29 hundredths, or 3 and 2/9, excuse me. So I don't know what 2/9 is as a decimal. So I'm actually going to have to take 2 and divide by 9. All right, remember, we can find a decimal by taking numerator divided by denominator. Well, I'm going to get 2, which is 18. And I notice right away that it's going to repeat. So I'm going to write 3 repeating. All right, so that's my decimal. But then I need to make it into a percent. And remember, I only need to write my line over top of one number. So if I move my decimal point 2 places to the right, I'm going to have 322. But remember, the decimal is repeating, so I'm going to put 0.2 repeating percent, just like that. And so you're probably not going to see something like this, but it was just an example I put on here so we could have a conversation about it in case it does show up. I'm giving you, in the next one, the decimal. You need to obviously make it into a percent. So I'm going to move my decimal 2 places. So I have 75 thousandths is my decimal. 75 over 1,000. If I divide by 25, I'm going to end up with 3/40ths, like that. The next one, if I wanted to do my fraction first, because I know that if I read it correctly, I can write a fraction, I would get 1 and 99 over 100. And then moving my decimal 2 places to the right, I would end up with 199%. You're going to mostly see percents greater than 100 if you're talking about price markup. So like a store will buy an item and then they obviously want to make money on that item, so they will mark it up. And so a lot of times the percent markup will be greater than 100% because they want to make as much money on it as possible. As far as percents less than 1, you may see those in things like ethnicities, percentages for a state or a school district. You may see percents less than 1 in a multitude of different ways, but that's one that you're going to see on an example or on a problem on your assignment today. So Jimmy's savings account increased by 250%. And you need to write 250% as a mixed number in simplest form and as a decimal. So mixed number and decimal. Write the decimal first because then it makes the mixed number easier. So you would end up with 2 and 5/10 when I move my decimal 2 places to the left. Well, and I know 5/10 is 2 and 5 over 10, but if I feel comfortable with my mental math, I can just write this as 2 and 1/2 right away. You could actually figure out, if I gave you a dollar amount, so say $15, and your account increased by 250%, you could actually figure that out by taking, your dollar amount times 2.5, and that would give you the amount of money that was now in your account. The stock price at Kohl's increased by 11/100%. Write 11/100% as a decimal and as a fraction in simplest form. So I need to move and make my decimal first. So I'm going to end up with 11/10,000ths. So I write 11 over 10,000. And 11 is a prime number, so I know that there's nothing I would be able to do to divide that answer. And lastly, you have cheetah is the fastest land mammal, while a peregrine falcon is the fastest bird. Peregrine falcon is 2 and 1/10 times faster than a cheetah. Write this as a percent and as a mixed number. Well, I'm going to write the mixed number first because I know the percent is the easier of the two. And if I look at this and I read it correctly, I'm done. 2 and 1/10. And then moving my decimal 2 places to the right, I would get 210%. All right, so mostly you just need to remember the rules that belong with making fractions, decimals, and percents. And then you're just going to have to feel comfortable with the numbers that are greater than 100 or less than 1.